Derivative rules. Rules for derivatives. d by dx of a constant, some constant value. This is always equal to 0. It can be easily proven with the power function, because we know that this constant can follow the power rule function, where it's just going to be c times x to the power of 0, because x to the power of 0 would be 1. So now we're following a polynomial function, and we can follow our polynomial rules, where we take the n, multiply it down by a constant, and take n minus 1. So this would be equal to c times 0 times x to the power of negative 1. And this would be 0 times anything is going to give 0. How about derivatives of functions times other functions? Function f times function g. This is called the product rule. And it is equal to the first function times the derivative of the second function plus the second function, the derivative of the first function, times the second function. It's called the product rule. It also works if you have multiple functions in there. So d by dx of, let's say, f times g times h. It would always be f times g times the derivative of h. So dh by dx plus f times dg by dx times h plus df by dx times g times h. So it doesn't matter how many functions you have multiplied in there, you just get the number. The number of functions will be equal to the number of terms that you get, the number of separations by an addition sign. There's also the quotient rule, which can come from the product rule, but we will write it down here. So if you have the derivative of a function divided by another function, you could just make this the derivative of f times g to the negative 1. And that would give you, and then use the product rule. Or you could use this formula exactly. This will all make sense when we start having equations. But I just want to write down these rules first, so then we can have a formula sheet to build on our equations. This is called the quotient rule. Where it's going to be similar to the product rule, but it's not going to be added to it. It's going to be subtracted. You have to take the derivative of the second function, subtract the derivative of the first function. I'm so sorry. This should be f, and this should be g. Times g all over the second function squared. I personally don't use this very often. I always just kind of put it the product rule and then just use the product rule, because the product rule is so easy to memorize. The last rule is for functions inside of other functions. So f of g of x. And this one's called the chain rule. And what you keep on doing here is you just keep on unpeeling the layers. So you take the derivative of f first, d by dx of f, and you multiply it by the derivative of g. And you keep on going down all the way until you get to the variable itself, dx by dx. You keep on going inside the function until you get to the variable itself. And we never usually write this one down explicitly, but if you do write it down, you can see that it's just equal to 1. And we will do these in examples. But these are the only rules of differentiating you need. And in combination with the derivatives of the base functions, you can take the derivative of almost virtually any function.